Hi, Adarsh. Hi, Mitali.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Surviving? Look at the weather. It's like raining outside.
Yeah, suddenly everything's changed. It was so sunny a few days back.
Yeah, it's like unpredictable, completely unpredictable.
Yeah, just like Melbourne.
Exactly, just like
Yeah.
Melbourne. Yeah, it's like there's a song, Four Seasons in a Day.
Yeah.
And it explains the weather of Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Adarsh, how are you?
Good, Dr. Tanvi. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Such a terrible weather today.
It is, yes. It is. I just had my second coffee of the day.
Oh, wow.
Still not feeling okay because I'm at the campus.
Okay.
And the heating system in this floor is not working. Just think about it. What's a terrible thing. The heating system is not working. So had to raise a ticket that the heating is not working. I said they're gonna fix it. Maybe not before Monday. Yeah, so that's
Gonna be a chilly afternoon then.
I'm sorry, say again.
It's gonna be a chilly afternoon then.
It is already chilly. I'm actually feeling chilly. Yeah. You guys had a class before this one today?
No, this is my first one.
Okay. And how many other subjects you're doing, Adarsh?
Oh, I'm actually doing 4 others.
Okay, you're full on.
Yeah, I'm full in.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Mitali, is this your first session?
Yeah. First
Okay.
session, as in, yeah, I'm already enrolled. I'm already,
In a group?
I'm in the last phase.
Okay.
Of my master's. Yep.
No, all good. Yeah, no, I just wanted to know that whether this is the first time you are joining SMS class.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the question is that for the group assignment, have you already found a group, or you want me to organize a group for you?
I would request you to fix me with a group.
Okay,
if that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. No, don't worry. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Leave it to me. Hi, Erika. Ryan, hello. Hi, Irene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you guys?
Great.
Hi, Srishti, Sayaka.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I can see that I'm just putting my high neck.
Yeah, it's good. It's gonna
Yeah.
rain tonight.
Yeah. I was actually discussing with others that the heating system in this building, LBS building, is like not working, level 4.
Oh, it's the same with the NASA. Like in between, it stopped working for like 3-4 days, and it was freezing so much, like
Oh my God.
badly. Yeah,
Now,
but I think
besides
they fixed it
this,
now.
I'm sorry, say again.
I think they fixed it now.
Okay.
Rooms are better. Otherwise, it was just so cold.
When I started my PhD in La Trobe, the La Trobe Business School, the building was really old, like the social science building or Martin building.
Yeah.
So yeah, this bit old building, and those time the heating system was not that great. So we had a for the PhD students, they had a kind of a space where all the PhD students crumbled together. But sometimes I've seen that some of the students are actually putting the blanket on when they're writing their thesis or something like that. But things are much better. We have better infrastructure facilities. Department-wise, it's good. A kind of transition. So I'm talking early 2009. Yeah. All right, guys. So I welcome you all. Sorry, say again, Ryan.
Yep, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ryan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Sorry for missing the first 2 class.
It's all good, no problem. So we are going to again work on the group formation. So I believe what we can do that one now. Ryan, you need a group?
Can you like just place me somewhere? I'm okay with that.
No, not a problem at all.
So much.
Others, you have a group already, right? Others?
Yeah, we are a group of 4.
Great, great. So I need to find a group for Mitali and who else? I think others are all organized, right?
For me, Ryan.
Okay, so Ryan and Mitali, could you please contact each other, use the chat box
Yep.
and exchange your emails as well, contact details, all right? And form a group, please, yeah?
Yep.
Yep, great. And by the time while we are discussing, right, the topic and everything, so please, both of you, please quickly flick upon the subject learning guide and also look into the assessment details, particularly the group one, right? And if you have any question, both of you, right, feel free to approach after you complete the discussion, right? Okay, Alan, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you, Alan. Thanks for asking.
You have your hat on today?
Yeah, because I'm feeling cold, that's why.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so let's start. Okay, so we have a very interesting topic to cover today, and a lot of discussion needs to be done in the session, right, regarding the assignment as well, because our major assignment is on the social media marketing plan. So we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so let me share this.
Sir, can I ask you before you record the section?
Yep, go for it.
Regarding the read.
All right, so I think we can start. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so welcome to week 3, and these are the topics that we will be covering today. We will look into the social media marketing plan. That is our whole unit is about, how we will be processing through each of these different sessions one by one. But the actual objective is that whether we will be able to build the skill or the knowledge or the expertise to do a kind of auditing. All right, auditing of what? Let's say the social media strategy. So that is one objective. Another objective for this unit is that building the insight to work on a campaign. So the campaign would be connected with the plan, the social media plan or social media campaign. So that is objective number 2. The first assignment is your work on the auditing. That is the group 1. All right, so we will be assessing that. The second one is designing the campaign or writing the social media marketing plan. That's the individual one, right? And if you look into all these 12 weeks, we are going through the process of building the insight or in capturing the 360-degree viewpoint of understanding the decisions that the social media marketing managers do make, right? And how effectively they are doing that. So today, I will share what the social media marketing plan, some rather been framed in different, let's say, stages or different strategies. So that would be the second part of our today's discussion. But the first part, we will be continuing our discussion. If you look into first session, we have covered the social media marketing as a kind of understanding what it is, dimensionalizing how it is little different from other knowledge domain of marketing and how it has been used as a kind of tools or techniques to effectively communicate to the target audiences, right? Because the target audiences have been changed. Some of the target audiences attitudes or behavior, if you look into, right? So how they are motivated. So before they might be motivated on looking into television advertisement, right? But now their approach of searching the information is completely different. And if that is the case, let's say paradigm shift from one platform to another platform. So whether the conventional approach of disseminating information or communicating with our target audiences are working or not. So first session was that. Then we move to the second one to understand the macro environmental factors, where we critically look into how some of the uncontrollable factors might influence the decisions of the social media marketing managers. We looked into political environment, right? So think about in different contexts, in different marketplaces, how the policymakers policies literally influence the marketers, right? We cannot generalize it. So think about religion can create a lot of different kinds of, let's say, framework, or even Stara as well, right? Or even if you look into the economic environment, we talked about digital divide, people who have access to information, or even let's say the infrastructural facilities they can access. And in some groups, they are not able to do that, and how we will be considering those when framing our strategies or employing our strategies. Similar like that, cultural environment, right? Today, we will be also bringing that interesting insight on talking about understanding the segmentation approaches, how in different perspectives, the culture makes or influence the decision makers in the organization while they are considering framing or reframing the messages, where one particular message, we can generalize it if you look into different cultural contexts, independent or interdependent cultural perspective. Then we look into legal or let's say the technological perspective. So that was session 2 discussion. Now today we will be focusing on understanding objectives. All right. So how social media marketing, right? So objective has been framed. We will look into that, whether we have to use the SMART objectives or not. What is this SMART objective stands for, and how we are using it, right? In different ways, we have to incorporate objectives, right? How we are measuring whether the objective is SMART or not. That is one critical point. We'll be also looking into understanding segmentations as well. What are the factors or variables or frameworks we do use to segment the market, whether that is a kind of same reflection from conventional marketing approach, or whether we are using different approaches. And then we will look into from segmentation to work on persona or proto-persona. We talked a little bit about proto-persona in earlier session, but we will look into, again, understanding, building the proto-persona. And then we will cover a very interesting framework. It's called social technographics ladder. So the kind of behavior towards social media, a proactive approach or reactive approach of the social media users, and how, as the marketers, we are categorizing them, we are segmenting them based on their approaches or their attitudes towards social media. And then at the very end, we'll work on a case study on Lego, right? Connecting with the discussion that we'll be covering. So a quick reflection on the auditing, right? As you guys will be working on your group assignment, right? We have covered this in the first session, but I wanted to have a quick feedback from you guys, how you are progressing with your group assignment. Any question or any challenge you are experiencing? Have you organized any group meeting or something?
Well, I had a discussion with the group, but we had a concern about the topic. So because I checked the RMS, I think you put the topics there, and some of our members are thinking about other topics. So I just want to clarify: should all the groups follow that topic, or we had?
No, we have changed the topic, Alan. Yeah, I think I have answered this question. So we're going to work on the topic, the fashion brand, right? Black Milk.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to work on I will again put an announcement, right? We're going to work on the new topic, not the earlier one, because the problem is that if you keep some of this, sometime we're receiving, let's say the earlier years assignment replication or mimicking. So that is a kind of, let's say, plagiarism issue. So I'm going to change the topic. All right. So this time we'll be working on the fashion brand Black Milk.
Okay. So you Yeah, because I'm seeing two versions of the assignment. The
Yep.
one you put last week, and then a few days ago, I think you changed it. So we focus on this one, right?
Yep, updated one, correct, yes.
Okay, so everyone working on this topic.
Of course, yes.
No more change. Okay, good. Thank you.
This will be the final one. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
just want to clarify that too.
No problem. Any other question or concern? Any other question or concern? All good?
If nobody asks about a question, can I ask you about this templates? Because when I went through it again, something I don't understand is like the company and then consumer and competitor, because yeah, like the company they use Twitter and then the consumer use Twitter. So I don't get
Okay.
about the column of where, all this, they have their using the same media to sort of
Okay, good.
post their I mean, whatever they want to promote.
Okay, sure. Let me answer this one. It's a good question. So think about when we are doing auditing as, let's say, social media marketing approach to audit the social media decisions, right? So the auditing and capture both internal and external, let's say, strategies taken by the organization. So when we look into, in marketing perspective, what kind of message has been framed and how these were actually posted to their owned platform. If you look into owned platform, that means their website and then their social media platform as well. So when you look into companies, so you need to check the company fashion brands, Blackmail's website, and also their social media, different kinds of social media. If you look into, right, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, you look into how they are sharing information in both cases. Can you see a kind of consistency? Can you see that the frequency they are actually posting or tweeting, all right? And then you move from there to their consumers. You will find a very interesting case here, because Blackmail has been encouraging their customers to share their experiences, right, with the kind of taking a selfie and upload that one. And there's a kind of experiential perspective is connected here, if you look into that. And then you can see that who are connected with their social media platform and how they are sharing those contents, right? So you need to also look into some of the followers, tweet or retweet. So when you look into the tweets or retweets, you can also analyze the sensitivity, right? So I will talk about it, right? So sensitivity analysis, that whether they are talking positive or they are talking negative, or they are showing some kind of, let's say, excitement, or they are showing some kind of, let's say, anxiety. How you are looking through all these, and there's different kinds of framework you can actually use, different kind of metrics you can design to show the consumers are talking for the brands or against the brand, right? Now, after you look into that, you can also need to look into other different kinds of similar brands or competitors. And there you have to do the same thing that you did for the Blackmail. So how they have framed the messages in their own platform, and then how they are actually sharing these information or disseminating this information, right? Interesting thing is that you need to critically analyze it, whether they are, if you look into a kind of time frame, any kind of auditing needs to be with a time frame. Question is whether we have a standard approach to see how effective they are. There's no literature talks about it. But if you look into the strategy perspective, it says that the more is the merrier. So if you look into doing the auditing, you need to start from the beginning, all right? And then you need to look into, okay, what kind of information literally create a good awareness and enhance the brand image and connected this one to brand value, whether they have made any mistake or not. So you need to actually go with that. But for this assignment, I would say that let's say go for last 1 year and so. If 1 year, then because more than 1 year is going to be time consuming for you, right? So if 1 year, you can look into the assessment of their platform, their consumers social media platform and also their competitors. Sometimes what you can do, you can also look into intermediaries as well. So intermediaries or maybe they're, let's say partners. Sometimes we say the partners as well, but for this assignment, you don't need to deal with the partners, right? Partners means, let's say, you are doing the auditing for Dior perfume, right? Dior perfume social media strategy. Dior's partner is David Jones or Myers, or even chemist warehouses. You can buy the Dior, right? So you can look into how they are using their social media strategy in those platforms. That means you have to do the auditing of the partners' own site as well, the partners' consumers as well. So that means you will have two different layers, two other layers as well. Okay, so we need to look into multiple different ways to talk about it. Another interesting thing is that here you can also look into the competitors' customers as well. If you are using a kind of comprehensive approach of auditing, you can also look into the competitors' customers, competitors, again, competitors, let's say partners as well. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because like for this template, just is it just an example? Or...
Example. It's just an example. Just an example.
Yeah, because I can see the company that you post there. You used Flake. Is it called Flake, right? I'm not sure about my pronunciation, so forgive me if I'm wrong. So the Flake just an example because I don't see you put the Facebook here. So if
just an example, just an example.
Just an example.
Yeah.
So we can use Facebook, right?
Of course.
Instead
Yeah.
of
Of course, yes, yeah. Even you can use TikTok as well. I think you can use also TikTok. Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
And then do the comparison of all these different channels and provide the information we did in our research.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that'd be
okay.
Great. You look into that way.
All right. Cool.
No,
thank you, sir.
No problem. Okay. Any other question, guys, regarding the auditing? Okay, I think we can start our topic discussion, right? Now, if you look into, we will start with understanding the objective, right? So when we say objective, it is connected with the strategy, right? And we have distilled the meaning of a strategy many times earlier for marketing management subject, or even digital marketing, if someone has done that one. We talked about a strategy, and a strategy is essential. Without understanding strategy, right, we will not be able to sustain the growth or even survive. So think about two different approaches, right? One approach is that how we can keep our same position. So to do that, we need to take the decision blended with strategy, right? Decision is a strategy for the organization perspective. But another one is that how we can expand. So survival and expansion, both of these cases, we need to deal with different strategies. Companies do focus on the strategy based on time perspective. So that's why we need to look into vision. We need to look into mission as well. Now, whether we can see social media literally can be used as a kind of vehicle to take the organization to reach their vision through the missions, right? Now, if we look into here, right, so how the organizations are some or other moving towards. So we can look into the organization's vision, right? So think about GE, General Electronics, right? So what's their vision? If you do Google the GE, the company General Electronics, I'm putting it here, right? So one of the Fortune 500 companies, they're amazing. They're amazing in a sense that they are very consistent on sharing the corporate identity to their target audience. They don't sell the product to B2C. They're selling their product to B2B. They're the B2B companies, right? So they are selling, let's say, the engines of an airlines, right? So that is one way, or rather, they are selling the equipments in hospitals as well. If you look into all different kinds of scanning devices used in hospitals, is produced by GE, right? Like Mitsubishi, B2B. Now, interesting thing is that if you look into the way they are very consistent on sharing the messages. Now, they have provided on one long-term vision, right? So the vision is that they will be sustainable as a kind of, let's say, corporate citizen, focus on sustainability approach. And they have been talking about this one for last 30 years and so. And they have indicated that after 2050, what would be their approach towards the market? They have used the concept, it's called eco-margination, right? So it's a very interesting way to analyze their position, all right? So that's their vision. But to reach their vision, they are constantly showing a kind of missions, step-by-step approaches. Each, let's say 5 years, what would be their strategy and how they are adapting their strategy. To adapt those, how they are constantly focused on their business goals in the sense that GE in different geographical, let's say, markets, if you look into Asia Pacific, if you look into North American, South American, European markets, how they are considering on division-wise, product-wise, all right, and business-wise framing the goals. And then how they are embedding the social media strategy to disseminate all these meaning, both internally and externally of their organization. So if you look into starting from here, right, how we actually see, so think about the strategy doesn't start from here, it starts from here, all right, so from top down. So if you look into the top-down approach, that makes the exact sense that how we are considering, sorry, I need to move. Okay. Sorry, yeah, so auto sensor is here, okay. How the strategy actually moves from top to bottom when you're considering on framing the social media marketing strategy. So marketing team or social media marketing team receive the guideline from the decision makers, actual decision makers, right? It comes from CEO to CMO, chief executive officer to chief marketing officer, or CCO as well in sometimes, right? Now, taking from here, if you look into some of the goals that we are actually considering, right? Not limited to in social media marketing, right? So what are some of the goals we can consider? Increase the traffic on the website. Some of the companies experience the problem of building the awareness and, let's say, approach to the right target audiences. And target audiences are diverse, right? If you look into it as an example, how Bunnings is using their social media strategies. So they have different kinds of customers, right? And all the customers are diverse. Some of them are tradies, some of them are actually leisurely goes to Bunnings and buy some items, let's say for their gardening purposes, and how effectively they are using social media strategy so that they can encourage all these different target groups. Selling product or even promoting the idea through let's say social media strategies as a service perspective, all right? Communicating effectively with using different kinds of message framing. As you could look into, appeal are used, right? It can be fun appeal, it can be joy appeal, or it can be some rather, if you look into, if it is non-profit brand, social media is used to disseminate the appeal. Think about as an example, let's say TAC, Transport Accident Commission, Australia, how they are using social media strategy so that people are behaving rationally on the road. Reckless behavior on the road can be, let's say, rectified by using the fear appeal or guilt appeal through social media strategy. Different kinds of awareness campaign as well. As a classic example, you can see in this slide, you guys are familiar with Volvo, right? The safest car in the world tagline. Yeah, guys, you guys are familiar with Volvo?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are familiar with their Life Paint campaign. You guys are familiar with that, the Life Paint campaign? Yes, no?
Not really.
I heard about it last semester.
Yeah, great, thank you. This is a very interesting campaign, though. If you look into their social media campaign on the Life Paint approach, how they were encouraging, this was not their one kind of key products to sell. Life Paint was not a key product for Volvo.
This is extended products, right?
Exactly. But the actual approach is to create the awareness about the safety measure and their positioning, how critical they are on considering on the safety of the drivers and the safety of the people, all right, on road, if you look into that way. So that's why Life Paint been widely, the campaign has been widely used in social media platform, and it literally helped the consumers, particularly who wants to buy an automobile. So they think about, okay, this particular brand is stands out from other different brands, let's say BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz. They do talk about design, they do talk about safety. The trust is also there, but Life Paint campaign literally create the awareness, and it actually induced a lot of meanings to the mind of the consumers, and consumers can identify this brand is different on their approach towards embedding and employing safety measures. Also dealing with different kinds of authority or online authority, right? So the way you are communicating with your target audiences, right? When we do talk about online authority or approaching to the questions, or even responding to the target audiences effectively, that gives you a kind of credibility. And credibility is important because when we are responding through our social media platform, because let's say when we receive an complaint and not replying to the complaint to the customers, that creates much more complicated issue, how they are distilling about that. As an example, you see that in many cases, some of the brand receive complaint and there is no response on that. And other consumers are looking into that while they are considering to buy the product or the brand. As an example, I'd like to share that how Kohl's Group, by using their social media platform, is creating a kind of let's say online command on consumers, right? Controlling that. Have a look into the left-hand side where one of their customers are providing the negative reviews or feedback. Can you see the slide, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read it through. It's a bit of fun. I wanted to share that one with you. So Matthew Wilson brought some fresh vegetables from, this is actually capsicum from Kohl's, and he was writing in his social media platform because he was not happy because he found a caterpillar inside of the capsicum, right? And he was showing his concern that why Kohl's is actually selling this kind of not fresh or maybe with caterpillar capsicum, right? Kohl's reply was very interesting, right? The Kohl's actually looked into that. Okay, if you look into that one, hi Matthew, you found them, thank goodness. We have been looking everywhere about that caterpillar, right? We are sorry to hear the caterpillar family almost made it into your dinner, but we are glad that they are safe and sound in their new home. We hope the joy of being new foster parents to this army of caterpillars bring you much warmth this winter. We are disappointed to hear you will be having capsicum-free stir fry tonight. So please return to your receipt next time, and in this store you'll be getting a full refund. All right. So what's their policy? They are actually going back to the policy, and they are insisting that if any customers is not happy, they can always get the refund. All right. So they were using the same policy, but the strategy is how effectively they are somewhere or other using the social media approach, all right, so that they can quickly communicate with their customers to overcome any kind of, let's say, problem with their experiences, right? So we can see the kind of authority comes here from these approaches. Other different ways to look into, other different kinds of objectives can be also fulfilled by using the social media strategy, as I've indicated, not limited to. Okay, moving forward to look into the kind of goals, right? The social media literally can embed or employ. Critical one is awareness, right? So each of these you can see from awareness to advocacy, right? So these are goals. We cannot create the advocacy without moving towards, let's say, the initial stages. So we have to, the ultimate goal is to create the advocate. That means the positive tweet or retweet or likes, right, on a particular information that we are sharing. If you look into the phases, right, each of these goes with phases. Just a hypothetical way, the time frame is used as a kind of hypothetical way. So it depends on the time frame can extend it or you can adjust it, depends on the kind of campaign, the kind of brand, or even if you look into the market as well. So when we are considering phase one, right? So the calls to action, or even if you look into engagement or narration, right? So how you're using your social media, let's say, post, what is your literal goal for that? Whether you have framed all these different posts initially, and then you are actually considering to pass it to your target audiences so that they literally understand, okay, this is the brand that is going to offer us this kind of values. So you're talking about different attributes, not maybe all together, maybe one by one. So think about the brand gives, let's say, some physical benefits or some physical attributes. You talk about it. Think about Nivea as an example, right? So, and then you talked about the emotional benefit, and you are consistent on bringing those points, or normally we can call that the differentiation approach. You are constantly bringing back those. And sometimes you also talked about the distinctiveness as well, differentiation and distinctiveness. Distinctiveness in a sense that, let's say, you are using different kinds of codes. So let's say when you are talking for the brand, you are bringing all those codes, let's say name, logo, sign, design, sometimes jingle. You are bringing those codes again and again so that that information remains on the mind of the consumer. So Nivea brings back those dark blue color consistently, so that whenever consumers look into a particular color in their subconscious mind, that particular, let's say, color remains. So that means share of mind is higher. So when we are considering to go for a, let's say, cream, skin cream, right? So we are considering, okay, why not Nivea? So using those codes multiple different times always help the brand to remain on top of the mind, right, of the consumers. So similar like that phase one, then you move towards phase two, designing that how you will be working for only one particular brand, or maybe the whole family of the brand, or you are using, let's say, more focus on SEOs, right? Or whether you are focusing on sharing more information with your consumers in different blogs or blog posts as well. All right. In different ways, you can consider phase one to multiple different phases. So we can look into a time frame, but the time frame can be adjusted. So if we are moving from, let's say, different phases perspective, we can see how critically we can use the social media strategy. One of the critical approach used by Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola took a risk. Risk in a sense that how they were looking into their sales were somewhere rather saturated, right, into the marketplace, and how they can come up with a creative approach and use social media campaign. I believe you guys are all familiar with Share a Coke campaign, right?
Yeah.
Yep, great. So if you look into how effectively Coca-Cola was using the Share a Coke campaign, now what they literally did during the time of Share a Coke campaign, right? Let me share this one with you here. Share a Coke campaign. Can you see the website, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, have a look into this one. This is the one I wanted to share.
So Share a Coke. What did it really take to make it happen?
One very different type of grief.
5 of the best agencies that we work with in the region pitching on the idea.
They presented a really big idea. She knew we would have trademark issues, at least 20 late night hours with Atlanta.
25 separate risk assessment meetings.
And one massive global brand exception.
150 submissions to our marketing approvals committee. 4,000 hours of talking to Coca-Cola Amatil stakeholders individually.
4 weeks to find a machine that could print the names on the can.
40 hours to get the Coke red right.
225 trademark searches to check the names.
2,302 artworks.
303,669 point-of-sale pieces nationally.
Every single word reviewed and approved by senior management.
We had to put a profanity filter together with every single name under the sun that could offend someone within Australia.
There were 5,287 words that we didn't really want on our cans or projected onto Australia's best known outdoor site.
There were naughty words.
50 or 60 pages worth of profanity.
Added a couple of my own in there.
At least 5 rude words I never heard of.
It was very, very educational. I've started using some since.
Then there were 3 nights in a dodgy King's Cross hotel, making sure no dodgy words were projected.
50% of all words people wanted projected needed to be blocked.
Only 1 word got through. I'm not saying what. Let's classify. I have to kill you.
I'm well aware of the word that got through.
What was it?
I didn't know what it meant.
You're not going to get me to say it on camera. No one's told me about that one.
I put the call out to our reps to contribute material. About 40% of them sent in some very personal photos.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Marie had a good time.
The content I received was probably a bit more than I needed.
Naked.
Someone wrote in and said that they were horrified that the word beastie was on their can.
It actually said bestie.
2 out of 5 Australians bought a Share a Coke pack. For the malls, we budgeted 70,000 cans. In the end, we needed 360,000.
And in a country of under 23 million people, we sold over 250 million individual personalized packs of Coca-Cola.
Oh my God.
All right, so some of you who are not aware about the Share a Coke campaign, what they literally did, they did a kind of personalization, right? So personalization approach, putting or printing the name, different names, right? And the interesting approach is that the conventional and also blending the conventional approach with social marketing, right? So what they were approaching towards their consumers or target consumers, that what kind of name you prefer to print it on Coca-Cola, right? And there are a lot of names were actually coming out, and they were screening the names, considering which one they will be actually putting on. And interesting thing is that in social media, by using social media platform, different platforms, right? So as an example, let's say Facebook or YouTube, the consumers were sharing their experiences with the new Coca-Cola, right? The outcome, the awareness, brand awareness goes exponentially high, all right? The sales goes also very satisfactory, and the brand stands out from other brands, and it becomes a kind of intellectual property for them. Alan, yes. Alan,
Well, until today, because after this video you show us, I didn't realize that they really go through all the. I think they mentioned about the word is name, right? So they go through all the names and check the background, and also have to check with the culture shock, you know, in terms of that. And yeah, this like they did a lot of things actually.
Of course, yeah.
Not just putting all the names there.
No, it's not like a random. It's not like putting random names. It was a kind of, let's say, getting the feedback from their social media users. And then they screen the names, and then they find out, okay, which one would be literally on demand, and they were using it, they were printing it. But there's some kiosks as well. Yeah, so interesting things that they also installed some kiosks as well, where you can actually able to print your name based on demand. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. When we also look into other different perspectives as well, right? So how we are embedding the goals or organizational goals and connecting the organizational or business goals with the social media metrics, right? If you look into different kinds of, let's say, the social media metrics, so traffic, follower growth, or engagement, or increasing the impression, or let's say the reach the message to the target audiences and convert them or creating more loyalty, right? Now, these are different kinds of social media metrics that we, metrics variables that we use. But if you look into the business goals, different kinds of business goals, we have to increase the loyalty, or we have to enhance the brand awareness, all right? Or we have to increase the, let's say, traffic on our website, enhance the, let's say, lead generation or increase revenue. How these are all connected. Now we can design the metrics, and we can look into, okay, which one would be our goal for this particular stage. If you look into increasing the traffic, for increasing the traffic, what kind of, let's say, strategies will be using so that it will be also fulfilling the goal of the business, right? So that's the way we can actually look into it. And we can always use this one also for our auditing purposes, right? Now, as an example, if you look into how some of the brand or some of the companies are using their goals, but they are using a smart approach of dealing with their goals. All right. As an example, I'm using here for Decathlon, right? It's a French company that does produce different kinds of sports gears, but how consistent they are on using their goals, particularly focusing on smart goals, right? Whether the message is very specific, whether the objective or the goals are measurable, or whether the goals they have designed is achievable, or whether it is realistic, or whether it is a time bound. In different ways, we use different kinds of, let's say, approaches. But if we are using all these 5 different critical avenues to distill the goals are smart, that means we can literally create some deliverables, right? So think about their segment, the target segment. They focus on, okay, how we can create the loyalty from the very, let's say, initial stage of the life of the consumers. That's a very interesting approach to look into. Okay, the consumers will come to me, but when? They should learn in the very early stage of their life. All right. So what they are doing, they are promoting the sports for the kids. All right. And they are constantly sending these to their parents, or to their schools as well, to the school teachers as well, to the local community as well, so that all the target audiences in different segments and identify this particular brand. Some or others are actually very keen to induce the importance of kids' activities and sports. Now, how they are using these as a kind of smart goals, right? As an example, you can look into is specific. The information is really, really specific. We're going to talk about what kind of sports they are promoting, what would be the price, all right? So how they will be able to get it as a kind of discount. This is very interesting. Decathlon do not charge anything if there is a school trip. So some, let's say some schools consider, okay, they are going to send a class to Decathlon for a kind of visit. And they give you a kind of souvenir, all right? So let's say the fishing gear department. So they gave a small fishing rod and a fishing reel, right? So as a kind of gift for that particular young customers, and printed the name of their brand, and the customer, let's say young customers actually try the fishing rod and fishing reel, and then they find a kind of connection with the brand. So they put this information, right? They wanted to look into, okay, how many, let's say, traffic has been increased. Can they measure it, comparing to people who visited the site and who are visiting the the store, whether they can actually look into a kind of connection. So that means they have to measure it, right? So the way they are framing the objective, whether they can let's say achieve it, all right, whether it's attainable. That means they talk about, okay, we have to increase 200,000 traffic in our physical store by using this approach. Whether the traffic goes up or down, it can be the platform or it can be the physical store, either way. Whether the information they are sharing into their platform, whether it is relevant or not, okay, should be consistent with that. And also the kind of campaign they are doing, whether it is time bound or time is specific or not. That means they cannot actually consider this whole campaign for ages and ages. Yes, Alan.
About the example that you post, the Decathlon, I saw their physical store in Hong Kong. They put a store inside a shopping mall, which is I would say the public is owned by the government.
Yep.
But the thing is that the store is surrounded by the public housing estate. That means a lot of residents are mostly underprivileged, because that's the public, it's owned by the government. So I saw a lot of like elderlies hang out with their grandchildren in the store, because that's the only place they have the air conditioner. They have the air conditioning.
Okay.
And the whole year, I don't think they make very good business there. I don't know why they put it there, but they may be very successful in marketing or social media, but definitely not a very good operation in Hong Kong, because it is the only store they have. And yes, I can see the people mostly just staying there because it's very good, I think they are very customer oriented. I mean, they let you try all the products, such as like the gym, accessories, all these kind of things.
You're right.
But the thing is that people walking inside, they don't buy things. They just try out all it, because this is Chinese. I think I'm sorry about the Chinese culture, because we try things, but because the location there is really not a very good one. I don't see they really have a good business there. Yeah, I'm sorry about to share about this.
No, all good. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I happen to work for Decathlon UK, but the interesting thing is that the size of the store is massive, very massive, right? You could look into a couple of maybe 10 or 12 sizes.
Even bigger than a supermarket in Hong Kong.
Of course, yeah.
I think they find a place that they have to, the management of the property have to clean out, to evacuate most of the small stores and then rebuild the whole floor. Whole floor. Just like so big. And finally, the things that is so disappointing when I walk in the store, it's very nice atmosphere, but the things that most people, they don't buy things, they just abuse the facility.
No, thanks for sharing that, Alan. Thank you. All right, we can move forward. Now, moving from our objectives or goals, guys. Again, just to remind you, when you will be working on your final assignment, the major one, right? So you need to use your SMART goals. SMART is critical, right? So how you are using our social media goals, whether that actually goes with all these 5 different, fits into the 5 different key factors, right? Now, moving from goals to understanding our target audiences. To understand our target audiences, we have to deal with segmentation, right? A couple of critical examples, if you look into, right? 67% of people made a purchase after seeing an advertisement on social media. So that talks the kind of approach, 2 different kinds of marketers, right? Someone who are effectively using the social media and what kind of benefits this can bring. But the interesting thing is that when we're looking into importance of segmentation using social media marketing approach, then we can see a lot of different kinds of benefits, right? We can get the right customer, and we understand what kind of message we will be able to use, or we will be able to frame. All right, so that means the right content. We can understand that, and we can look into where to put this information, how frequently we will be sharing this information. What would be the format? This is interesting because we also need to understand the cultural perspective and also blending the information. You guys are all familiar with semiotics, right? We talked about semiotics earlier, yes, no? Semiotics, yes, no?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, thank you. So if you look into semiotics, yeah, thank you. If you look into semiotics perspective, that means the sign, or let's say the color, or let's say the symbols, or even let's say using numbers, all these have different interpretation in different culture, right? And how effectively we have to adapt these or assimilate these. So when we are using the same information in different let's say, cultural context, we have to understand, okay, how we will be adapting that. We also need to look into using the right tone, framing the right tone or messaging, right? If you look into, there's a very interesting approach, it's called prospect theory. Could you please write it down? Prospect theory. Can you see gain and loss effect, right? Can you see in the chat box, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
So also write down loss aversion, avoiding any kind of loss. So when we are using any kind of platform, it can be social or non-social media, right? If you look into that, the important perspective is that marketers use prospect theory. Now, the origin of the prospect theory is in not marketing, is in economics. In economics, the way we actually see prospect theory it is embedded with human economicus, right? So that is the concept. That means human mind always look into avoiding losses or subverting or averting the losses. That means they wanted to avoid any loss. So when we are framing the messages, we look into gain factor or loss factor. Which one is more effective? As an example, if you look into, we are framing the message. If I buy the ticket now, I can let's say save $50. If I don't buy the ticket now, I will lose $50, right? So the loss is more effective on the mind than the gain. And the way marketers are actually using it by blending the prospect theory. And interesting thing is that if you look into in different ways, in social media strategies, the prospect theory has been widely used by the marketers as a kind of, let's say, message framing. Even in let's say message framing by the governments, if you look into COVID-19 and how Australian government in different states are also, right? They have framed the messages by using the loss aversion approaches. You can have a look into that. You'll find everywhere they are using the kind of, let's say, prospect theories. All right, moving ahead. How we see social media approaches on segmentation, what literature talks about these. If you look into one of the classic papers, I've shared this on here with you, by three of the leading authors in social media research, right? Anna, Moira, and Paul. So they indicated about the social media practices on different segments. If you look into, we do talk about different generations, right? We talked about from, let's say, baby boomers to millennials or Generation Z, and how we see the segments, which one actually literally opens more market opportunity and which one is connected with the social media. So the paper, if you look into that, the paper talks about different avenues on identifying the opportunity by using social media segmentation approach, right? Two different, let's say, kinds of approaches. And this also helps us to identify how we can move from one level to another level by redefining the social media strategy into, let's say, identifying segments, right? So if you look into that, then you'll see that using social media segmentation approach literally expand the market opportunity. So that means the kind of approach you'll be using for millennials, now maybe Generation Y is not using as much as the millennials are using, right? So, but interesting thing is that how effectively you have to disseminate the message framing and changing the tone of the messages, but still you need to find out what medium they're using and how you can incorporate the messages on that particular segment. So that is a critical reading for you. Moving towards identifying different ways to do the segmentation. Alan.
Sir, I refer to the last slide that you show us.
Yes.
There's the another part of the slide. I can, because when I down the slide there's a graph. That's a big graph, right? And showing the I think it's showing like the
so that's
degree
in
to
the
which
paper. Yeah, that's in the paper, right? So if you look into two different perspectives, right? So that's in the paper.
because it's showing two ovals. One is a low one, and another one is like the higher one. So it after the segmentation, I think the low one with the without the social media.
Yes, one is with social media.
Yeah, one is with. So would you please explain about that graph, because I don't understand why it becomes being alleviated.
Let me open. That is the slide. Give me a second. That is a slide from last year or last semester.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a second. Let me open the paper first. Give me a second.
So this is the reading we have to go through, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you read the paper, Alan, so the thing is that, let me continue the class. If you read the paper, all right, so you can actually identify, and the graph has been indicating is a kind of shift from one particular segment to another segment with social media strategy. To open the paper, it's going to take me some time. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Maybe I can share my screen.
Yeah, that is better. Yeah, if you can share your screen.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you look into this one, two different, yeah, exactly. That's from the paper, right? So if you look into, this is what I was indicating, all right? If you break down the market, right? So what we normally look into the market granularity, right? So you're breaking down the market and focusing on the degree of using the social media strategy and the proposition. You can look into the optimal zone with social media, right? And if you look into the optimal zone without social media, two different segments I have indicated. If you look into generation Y, or let's say comparison of generation Y and let's say millennials, right? So we can consider the millennials with the optimal zone with social media. But if we are overlooking generation Y and consider, okay, generation Y is fitting here, that means the whole idea of expanding the market opportunity will be gone. So what we need to do, we need to use social media, changing the framing of the messages and blend this particular perspective. So what is this? So we need to actually focus all different segments. We have to use the optimal zone with social media. That means social media should be embedded in all different segments, right? So think about this one. Think the whole diagram as generation Y. We didn't have any social, because if you look into generation Y, what is the age now, right? They're 60, 70 years, 80 years old now, right? So, or let's say generation X, sorry, 70 years old now, right? So they are not using social media, but some of them are using social media. So if you look into how you're using different approaches to bring them on board of the social media strategy and using the social media effective message framing, that means you are bringing the optimal zone with social media. Okay, so that talks about. All right.
Okay.
That explain.
Yeah. But better now, because when I look just at the summary and then the graph, I can't liaise both parts. But now, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
I think this one is from the last semester or last year maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But this is not the updated slide. The updated slide is this one, I think. Where's my slide?
Yeah, so you are going to update your slide today? Will you?
This is the slide I think I'm using.
Yes, because the one I got was, I think it's last year.
Which one you're accessing?
Which one? I'm just getting on the RMS. Like in this morning.
Okay, let me okay, you got your answer, Alan?
Yeah, got you. Yeah, got your answer. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thank you for your explanation.
No problem. Let's move forward. Okay, we were focusing on segmentation, right? So the conventional approach of segmentation, that is still valid when we are using the social media strategies, right? So understanding the demographic or geographic or psychographic. You can see the slide here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you look into the market-based perspective, in different ways, we are using identifying the segments, right? If you look into one by one, these are all we are considering as a kind of priority approach, right? If you look into under demographic, we can see the age, the gender. If you look into the education, right, income, each of these are showing different kinds of need, all right? And building the social media strategy based on the, let's say, homogeneous need of your target audiences is a critical one. All right. So as you look into how we are collecting the information of our target audiences from the social media and connecting that one to our CRM strategy, right? So in different ways, our DMP or data management platform or CRM platform literally help. And in many cases, we are now dealing with the metadata and considering those metadata, because we can distill the metadata by using our algorithm to find out the demographic information. Similar like demographic, we can also look into the geographic information as well, based on each of these different users, right? So like geographic, demographic, or even if you look into the behavioral approach, right? So think about from that, we can segment the market, and under that we have different factors, let's say online shopping habits, or how they are considering the visiting the website, how frequently they are visiting the website after we change any kind of, let's say, marketing decision. Or if you look into how they are considering to buy frequently, or users rate, right? Or even how loyal they are, or whether they are the switchers. In different ways, we are considering those. But the interesting one is the psychographic one, all right? In psychographic, as you know, that we cannot see what the consumers are actually, let's say, believing or feelings, right? So we literally need to unpack this. Now, when we're trying to do the segmentation for our social media strategy, two important things we have to use, right? So the two important strategies that we literally need to use the sensitivity analysis for the psychographic analysis, because we need to read the, let's say, the post or tweet or retweet. All right, we need to literally do the analysis on that. The second one, we have to use projective techniques. And by using projective technique as a kind of method, right, literally help in a sense that, because projective technique always tap into some or other the tacit motives of those consumers, so that you can actually invite them to participate on a kind of, let's say, research session or interview session, and you can run the projective technique and you can collect those information. Let me write down here the technique. Can you see the method, guys? Projective techniques.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. All right. So under projective techniques, you might find also various other different approaches. Let's say TAT. TAT means thematic apperception test, or sometimes you use ZMET, Zaltment metaphoric elicitation technique. Let me write it down here. TAT or ZMET. ZMET means Zaltment metaphoric elicitation technique by Professor Gerald Zaltman from Harvard. He has designed this kind of projective technique approach. You can also look into building collages or picture drawing or picture bubble. So you're not asking direct question about a particular brand. So while you're designing your approach, you can always use that. Yes, Srishti, you have raised your hand.
Last semester, I don't know in which subject, but I read that they don't use vowels anymore. Is it?
It depends on the kind of companies, which one I'll talk about it. I was about to talk about it. Okay. Vowels is not invalid. It depends on the context. It depends on the context. Value and lifestyle is a psychographic approach. It depends on the context. Yes. Yeah. So which subject you have learned that they are not using vowels anymore?
I'm not so sure. Irene, do you have any idea? I mean, I read it somewhere, and I think she also read it, and you were like,
I think in consumer
I think it was
behavior.
APD.
Yeah.
Advanced Consumer
Yeah,
Division.
I think it was ACD. Yeah.
I understand that Claire is always vocal against vowels. I know that.
Yeah, she said she did a study against vowels, so
Yeah.
she doesn't use that in her research.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
also talks against Roy Morgan. I'll
Mm.
tell you that. When I was
Yeah,
teaching,
that's true.
I was teaching consumer behavior, and I was actually explaining the kind of let's say data we can use from. We are using the panel data. You're familiar with that? That the Roy Morgan, you can actually buy that data. And she said, these are all junk. Throw this into the book. She's really good on.
Yeah, she's amazing, no doubt.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it was ACD, it was Claire who's got it.
I understand. That's why I tell you that it was clear, right? Because she only comes again. She's good in segmentation, very good. She's amazing. She's amazing in segmentation. Companies, some of the companies still do use it. We cannot say that. It depends on the kind of approaches you're using. The problem is, I think this is very interesting and valid, absolutely valid. Why? Because understanding the consumer and psychographic, it is not that easy, right? So because all of these are, if you look into value and lifestyle, you wanted to see that, okay, can I use vowels as one of the approach and use that data to another market? Impossible. Because when we switch the market, this data is invalid, all right? So this particular framework is literally limited in one way or other, right? So that's why I wanted to come to the next one to explain which one we should use in social media approaches to as a kind of framework, right? But we have to learn it. We cannot disregard it. Let's say vowels, if you look into, okay, a luxury brand, we wanted to identify how the consumers are thinking about a luxury brand. So in that case, which kind of framework we'll be using, right? So if you're using vowels, that literally help us to identify, okay, the behavior of my target audiences would be pretty much like that. They are affluent, they are elite, they like to show off, or they like to show their taste, they like to show their identity or their success. And if you look into innovators through vowels, you'll find a right fit. All of these are actually literally talk about it, all right? But the question is, going back to whether all those, let's say, luxury consumers are behaving alike. If we are considering as innovators, some of the consumers do not like to talk about their luxury brand, though they are affluent, they are elite. They wanted to hide their luxury brand. So this is where Claire is actually coming up with the argument: can we actually, let's say, generalize vowels everywhere? The answer is no. So we need to actually use context-based and through the vowels. So you got the answer?
Yeah, Professor, thank you.
No problem, no problem. Claire has done a lot of projects on segmentation, so that's the beauty about it. So this is interesting. Her industry partners, in many cases, approach her to gain her insight about doing the segmentation. I also learned from her doing the segmentation in different ways, dealing with the panel data. Okay, moving forward. If you look into also identifying different kinds of segment based on Professor Rogers' theory, this is called diffusion of innovation, again valid, right? So we cannot disregard it. But the question is that we literally need to approach to the segments, and this is again market-based or context-based. Think about the technology early adopters in South Korea and technology early adopters in, let's say, in one of the South American countries, let's say, Ecuador or Peru, let's say, as a classic example, right? So because they are moving towards more technological infrastructure. So you'll see the percentages are different, all right? So in different ways, we can look into the market-based segment based on technology adoption, right? Or maybe using social media approaches. So we can see the kind of segments. As I was giving you the examples of vowels and also looking into the luxury perspective, we can see that how the brands are actually considering on their social media users and going back to the segmentation approaches. So far I have given you all a priority approach. Priority approach are receiving challenge. This is where I think Claire mentioned in your class, she does. Priority approaches are not valid, right? Post hoc approaches are now becoming very, very popular. what's the difference between priority and post hoc approaches? If you do Google, you'll find it. The priority approaches are, let's say, using the 4 factors: demographic, geographic, psychographic, or behavioral, or vowels, or value, or lifestyle. Or if you look into, let's say, Samarada, Rogers theory, right? Alan, you have raised your hand.
Yeah, because I remember last semester you talked about the priority and also ad hoc approach.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
priority is like is more standardized, right? But the ad hoc is more data driven, right?
Post hoc is data driven. Post hoc is
data driven. Yeah. So priority is more like being standardized. So you just basically use those 4 typical categories or the criteria, and you can do the segmentation.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Okay. Yeah, just want to make sure my understanding is correct.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, this is what I said. Yeah, that's true. The interesting thing is that if you look into the post hoc approach, the post hoc approach is that the way you define the segments, right? This is the interesting thing. In one of the workshops, we deal with let's say the CEOs or CMOs of the companies, right? And in that workshop, we literally help them to design their future customers. So they are actually using a kind of mind map. So in that mind map, they are using a kind of, let's say, wireframing, and they're bringing all these different factors they can use to define their future customers. So that means all these factors are used to draw their segments. Simple, and that is post hoc approach. So that means the kind of let's say numbers of factors you are using. You are also familiar with Claritas Prism. You are familiar with Claritas Prism?
Not from me.
I'll share this one with you guys.
Thanks.
So Claritas Prism. Can you see Claritas Prism?
Yes.
Yep. If you look into the list, the segmentation list, the variables, right? Have you looked into how many variables they are indicating? I think 68 variables. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the kind of post hoc approach we can consider. That means these are not limited. So this is a kind of framework by Nelson. Nelson is another research company, right? Marketing research company. They have designed this framework. And the actual objective is to share with the marketeers that you need to use your own framework. Does it make sense? So that means you can identify which are the factors you think is relevant to define the segment. Okay. So that is the kind of, let's say, approach now marketers are using. Okay, can we move forward?
Sure.
Yeah. Another example I like to also share with you by Roy Morgan. Guys, could you please save it? Helix personas, right? This is the one we use. Let me share this one. Can you see this one? That will help you to get the insight how we are using different segment personas, using or analyzing the data and targeting those segments using different kinds of personalized or generalized approaches, and then evaluate whether those segments literally the reflection of the segments literally help and connected with the business goals. Remember, we talked about the social media metrics and the business goals, right? A useful source of doing research. How we are getting the benefit of doing the segmentation. Some of the, not limited to, some of the advantages or benefits, right, of doing segmentation. We can consider different ways to enhance the target audiences, traffic to your let's say platform, understanding which platform going to work, all right? And then also using, let's say, multiple different adaptive approaches to those, right? Different ways you can look into. And you can also do the split test as well. Split test in a sense that one particular strategy, whether that works for all different social media platform, right? So think about, we are using framing, message framing. So same message framing, whether that will be using for multiple different platforms at the same time, or whether you have to adopt the strategies, right? So think about, if you're looking into the contents, designing or adapting the contents in different platforms, it is YouTube to, let's say, TikTok, all right, or to Twitter, to Facebook, how will be adapting that. There is a interesting insight that we also need to deal with. This is a literature from the social media marketing handbook, right, where we look into various different kinds of strategic proposition on adapting the information, considering on different diversity in different segments, right? I was indicating about the culture perspective earlier, and semiotics also, right? When you are looking from one particular culture from another culture, and the diversity, let's say from independent to interdependent culture or viewpoint, you can see the kind of, let's say, adjustment we can look into. Under the cultural differences, we can see the power distance or masculinity, femininity, uncertainty, avoidance, or long-term avoidance. These are all from Hofstede cultural dimensions, right? And if you move from, let's say, from Australia to one of the, let's say, Asian countries, right? So you can see the differences, power differences is there, masculinity, femininity is there, and uncertainty, avoidance, or even indulgence, which is not indicated, but that is another factor, right? So all these are different, and how that impact on adaptation of your messages, right? So how you will be considering that, whether you'll be framing the message considering on your target audiences as the decision makers, all right? So how you'll be considering to sharing that, and how this impact, how this, if you look into that, the social media functionality, all these are different kinds of propositions, right? So P stands for propositions in that particular paper. It's a classic work, though. If you look into different kinds of propositions, and identifying, using this information to build a relationship, or keeping the presence in enhancing the conversation, all these are different approaches. That means adapting in two different cultural contexts literally help you to overall, let's say, achieve all these assertion or propositions. When we are considering on building the segmentation and then refine those segments as to build personas, as an example from here, how the airlines company can use those personas, right? As a kind of case, if you could look into one particular airlines company can use their, let's say, social media segmentation approach to find out need-based perspective and build the personas, right? So they can design the personas based on different kinds of needs, or different kinds of problems, or different kinds of, let's say, insight they are sharing in their social media platform. In different ways, these are all valid, these are all useful. Now, from segmentation to targeting, marketers use these to segmentation information, right? Both priori or ad hoc, to identify the kind of approach they will be using. So when they are using targeting, normally in social media approach, no one is using generalized approach, because adaptation doesn't cost a lot in social media marketing, right? So that's why they are using much more personalized approaches. And this is where we can see Web 3.0 is also being used, because based on the metadata or big data, how effectively we can personalize this information. These are all Web 3, right? Interesting thing is that when we are using the kind of targeting approach, we are using much more hyper-personalized, relying on the data, relying on information. So if you move from identifying our segments and refining the segments to the persona, and you move towards the left to right, you can see that all kinds of approaches are connected. Even the kind of pricing approach you are using, even the kind of distribution approach you're using, right? So these are all connected with our segmentation data. So segmentation to targeting literally relies on blending the information collected from the data. All right, moving forward to look into what kind of data, right? So, and how we are using the big data or metadata, if you look into that way, right? So, collecting information from different sources. We can use this information from our own platform, our shared platform, or our intermediaries or partners platform, or even our consumer customers platform, right? And all this information we can embed with our CRM platform, and then that can literally help us to create the leads. Even though when we are considering on that, the 3 V's for effectively using this data are critical. Volume, the size of the data, how much we can able to collect, all right? Velocity, how quickly we are collecting this information, all right? So we need to have the expertise and skills to pulling the data, using this, distilling it, all right? And then the variety, not only one kind of data on one source of data, but multiple different kinds and sources of data. Not one particular social media platform data, but various different kinds of social media platform data is also useful. We can also look into different kinds of targeting approach. Yes, Alan?
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind to go back to the last slide?
Yep.
Yeah, there's something I don't understand. I think the velocity, starting from normally the highest velocity of data, and then talking about the memory versus being written to disk. Is
Yes.
it about the computation, about the computer?
Correct. It is your infrastructural facilities, whether you are using the, let's say, latest one or the old, let's say, devices. So the power or the machine you are using.
Oh, I thought it was like the clouding and the hard
computing
disk
as well. Cloud computing.
clouding also.
Yeah, as well.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
right.
thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or from anyone? Okay, let's move forward. When we are using the big data or metadata from various different sources, right? How we are using this one to target. Now, there's 4 different ways to look into, right? The targeting based on behavioral, right? So how they are actually showing their attitudes. If you're looking to buying the product, or even they're considering on buying the product from landing to purchase. So that can also show their behavioral perspective. So we can target based on that. We can look into, let's say, the connection-based targeting as well. So some or other how they are frequently visiting, right? Or even the loyalty-based targeting as well. Interest targeting as well. If you're looking into, let's say, some or other, they are, let's say, searching it again and again, right? Based on also promoting, right? So that's one way rather to target those. Or let's say some or other talks about advocacy, right? So whether we are targeting based on those where they are doing tweeting or retweeting positively, right? Or let's say look-alike targeting. That means someone who are buying and others are following them. All right, so that's another way to look into a kind of targeting as well. So those are actually trying to fitting in to another kind of, let's say, behavioral group in different ways. Again, not limited to, but in different ways you can frame the kind of targeting approach you can use by all the data you are pulling. Now, a quick work to look into. Different ways we are using different kinds of framework to identify our segments. Now, this is the kind of segmentation approach we are using to find out the social media users. This is what we normally call the technographics ladder, right? And you can find out different kinds of behavior, starting from content creators, right, to inactives. Now, if you look into each of these has different kinds of, let's say, attitudes or different kinds of behaviors, right? Which one consists more in our target segments, if you look into that way, right? Some of these are actually, let's say, look into from creators to more conventionalists, right? Conversationalists, right? So they don't normally do like to participate, not like creating the content and sharing the content. So they are the active, most active, let's say, users. Some of them are actually do critique. The interesting thing is that some of them are actually collecting the information. Let's say you guys are familiar with RSS feeds. Really simple syndicated feeds. You guys are familiar with that?
Not really.
Okay, let me write it down. So if you look into RSS feeds, let's say you are searching multiple different platforms, right? So this cannot be designed by someone. It should be designed by a particular, let's say, social media platform. What they can do, if you look into Facebook has been using RSS, right? So that means that when you search for some information, so it can customize this information for you. Let's say you look into a particular newspaper, let's say ABC channel, and then you looked into a particular, let's say, company website, and then you look into another website, then you'll find that all these syndicated information, all right, is actually come to you as more personalized approaches. So the collectors are mostly, let's say, some or other follow those information. Then you'll see the joiners, right? They are not that active comparing to the earlier stages. Then you'll see the spectators. They are not that much active, but only to surf or skim through. And then you'll see the inactives, right? Now, if you look into different kinds of, let's say, behavior perspective, we are segmenting based on the ladder where you want to put yourself. I just wanted to, it's a quick activity. So place yourself in social technographics ladder and explain why you fit into any one of these categories provided. Quickly. Which one you think? Let me take back, right, to the slide. Which one you think you fits into?
I would say myself joiner.
You are a joiner?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What about others? Why joiner? Can you explain why joiner? Yes, Shishti.
I think I'm creators and critics.
Very good. Interesting. So you like to design the content and personalize it and share. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, and critics is like, yeah, I do post reviews and feedbacks.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Shishti. What about others? Eva?
I'm probably a joiner and a critic because I like review things on my story sometimes as well.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, Alan?
Yeah, I think I still insist joiner because I'm not like a tech innovator. So I'm not like very conservative, but just like to to just as what the definition say, just to maintain and then to observe more than moving forward.
Impressive. Cool. Thank you. So we can identify different kinds of, let's say, segments from these technographic ladders, right? And based on that, we can use or frame our strategies to target those segments. All right, so we are ending the second stage of, second part of our session. How many minutes we left? We need to do the case study as well. We're gonna continue the social media marketing plan in the next session 4. What are we gonna do now? Before we move on, any question you have, guys? We're gonna work on the case study. Any question you have?
No, not at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me share. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create the breakout room. All right, so let's say I'm going to make 3 breakout rooms, and individually, first we need to read the case study. Can you see case study topic 3? Lego's market segmentation strategy, right? So when you finish reading, and then you have to answer these 4 questions, right? So use dot points. So individually you read it, and then collectively you need to provide the insight. One person will be writing on the Padlet. Just need to clarify on question number 3. So based on the principles from the chapter, right? So the kind of, let's say, target audiences. So you could look into the technographics ladder, right? So your target audience is based on that, okay? Now let's start on reading and answering the question. First of all, let me create the breakout room, and please do join the breakout rooms, guys. And after we post the answer, and then we will discuss on that. Shayaka, Ryan, please join the breakout room. Irene, please join the breakout room. Shayaka, please join the breakout room.
Hi, Professor.
Hello.
Hi, it's Sayaka. Sorry, my internet connection was very bad and I was kicked out.
Not a problem. Could you please join the breakout
Yes.
room? Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
There is no join mode yet. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay. To their current community.
Hello, guys. How we are progressing?
We're working on first question.
Good, good.
But I will pose it because I'm not very convenient to go to the Padlet and
No, all good.
go
No
back.
problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, all good. Yep.
So Erica, am I right? So because the company is able to gather ideas from the group and offer.
Hello, guys. How we are progressing?
Hi there, we're going good.
Good, very good. So you're answering the question, right? Who is writing? Mitali, who is writing on Padlet?
Actually, we haven't started writing.
So you have identified the answer of the 4 questions?
Yep, we've decided what parts we are choosing.
Yep, good, good. So as you can see that the Padlet, so someone can actually write here. So you can use this plus sign. And use
I'm actually using my mobile phone. It will be slightly difficult. If anyone else can please volunteer.
Ryan, can you write?
Yep, I can write it down. In the Padlet, right?
Yeah, in the Padlet. Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Just give me a second. I'll do it.
I'm moving to another breakout room.
Yeah, I've just posted the first 3 questions, but we're going to have to do question 4 separately because it didn't fit.
Hi, Eva. Hi, guys.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. I can see you guys have, yeah, you are on question number 4 right now. You have seen, 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. Yep. Please continue.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So,
And when you finish, then I will all take you to the main room. Then one person from here can present. Okay.
perfect.
No worries.
Okay, so how does identifying a target audience with personas help a company select on the best? We've added our things in there. Oh yeah, you can see them.
Yeah, thank you. I can see, yep. I'm waiting for other groups to submit.
I won't be able to stay past.
All good, no problem, Eva. So
I've just
yep,
got a
yep.
dinner, so I've got to go.
No, all good, all good. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Have a nice weekend. See
You
you.
too. Thank you. Thanks for joining the session. I'll see you next week.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
RE reviews.
Okay, because
Guys, we have,
Alan?
guys,
Yes.
we have 2 more minutes to submit.
All right.
We just
From-
they're almost there. Reviews from
Okay, number 4. What's
just
a-
like existing customers. How does
I was saying,
Guys, we have 2 more minutes to submit the answer.
Yep, we already.
Yep, right.
I wanted to say one thing.
Yep.
Is it all right if I leave right now? I've submitted my answer to Ryan
All good.
for part
no
2
problem. Yep.
because I have work at 6. I'm so sorry about that.
No, all good, all good, all good. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I'll see you next week.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, we are waiting for other 2 groups. So I've given them 2 more minutes and then, yeah, they'll be joining here. And then, yeah, we can look into that. And you can wrap up.
Okay.
Ryan, you have submitted?
Yep, I'll just give me 1 second. I'll submit it right now. I just put some name of the group member.
Yep.
And
Alan, you have submitted?
Yeah, he's just pasting.
I did.
He's just pasting.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, now we can start from group number 1. So Eva, Renard, Adarsh, Sayaka. So who wants to present?
I can
Yep.
start with
Great.
question 1.
Renard, please go for it. Yep.
Yep. So the question 1, we talked about how, so basically the 3 top personas are very important as they are most active.
Yep.
And they consist of the lead users, one-on-one community and the connected community. So yes, maybe in the future, Lego also might need to focus on different personas, which might emerge, such as the Gen Zers. Also, they could be also titled as social media natives, and more categories would emerge from social media.
Yep.
As,
Yep, that's great.
do
Yep.
I go to second question?
No. So that's fine. Thank you. We can go to group number 1 to talk about the question number 2. Group number 1. Thank you, Renat. Thank you, your team.
Thank you.
Thank you. So group number 1. So who wants to talk from group number 1? I think that was, yep.
All right. So the question 2 was, it said, what factors may have influenced the Lego Group's target marketing decisions? So what we could figure out from the case study was the strategies they are using. It's basically to try to understand the consumer behavior. They're trying to engage people by making them actively participate and giving attention to them, or, with developing social media strategies to make them, the company's most ardent advocates. So they're the ones who are talking about the product, advocating it, and loyal to the company.
Yep, great. That's absolutely right. Question number 3. Can you please also go question number 3?
You want me to?
Yep.
Okay. This case study indicates that the Lego Group believes its optimal target audiences are young boys based on principles from the chapter. Who do you think the company's secondary optimal target audiences might be, and what social media marketing efforts might help the company reach those other audiences? So what we could figure out was, apart from boys, the families who have children, especially who have toddlers, young kids, there will be the secondary optimal target audience. Moving on, so what we could figure out from the ladder was that people who are like spectators, collectors, critics, joiners, and creators will be the one who would want to purchase Lego or would want to be a part of Lego family. To engaging on digital platform. Okay, so basically they need to engage on, they'll be engaging on digital platforms and work on the feedback, like the company will work on the feedback and reviews from the existing customers.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Group number 3, Ryan. What was your viewpoint on question number 3?
Yep, sorry, we haven't finished the question 4, but I can
number
answer
3. Yeah, question number 3, please.
Number 3, right? Kui, can you help me with that? I don't think he listened to us.
Okay, you can go question number 4 if you want. Question number
let Kui answer the question number 3, and I can answer the 4th one.
Yep. Is she here?
Kui?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Please,
sorry. Yeah. About the question 3, maybe, and family, and I think families with some young children, maybe can secondary target. And these children have developed interest in playing with Lego from a young age, and then when they grow up, they can become loyal customers. And I think
it's good. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on the ladder, you can find anything based on the technographics ladder. It's okay. It's okay. That's fine. Question number 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Kay. Question number 4, Ryan.
Yep. So focus on the personas and like understand about the persona. Help the companies select the best social media platform, because it's like you know more about your target customer. Like the more you understand about the customer, the more you can capture the picture of the customer, the more you can target it on like not only social media, it's also in another platform. And yep, so especially in the social media marketing, you need to understand about like where is your customer, where you should focus on.
Yep. Yep.
If you don't understand about that, you will like wasting money on like this, something not effectively.
True, logical. Going back to group number Eva, Saika, Renat, and others. What about your insight about question number 4? Renat?
Yep. So we think that it will most likely strengthen the relationships between the brand and the customers.
Yeah, exactly.
And because
the brand equity as well.
yeah, so it also would encourage the most active users to be advocates for the brand, which will also increase the brand awareness.
Yep.
And yeah, using personas will also provide an outlook for on the customer's life, and therefore providing a better strategy, a more detailed one.
Yep.
And will sustain eventually a high growth rate.
Yeah, that's true. And also group number 1 has indicated that you can increase the loyalty, isn't it? And advocates. Yeah. Yep. Cool. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for your participation. Sorry that we have exceeded the time, 10 minutes more. Apologies, but I really appreciate your participation and your time for today's session. Okay, so please do continue your work for your assignment, and any question, please do reach out, and enjoy your weekends, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I have a question?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Ryan, go for it.
Yep. Just a specific question. Should I do something to allocate myself in the group or on the LMS?
You have to communicate with Mitali, so remember?
Yeah. We already communicate each other, and we have the email as everything.
That's perfect. Nothing else you need to do.
Cool. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
Stay safe and keep warm.
Thank you so much.
Bye, take care.
Thank you.
Bye.